Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay. But you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
All right, joining us now on the show, we talked about it last week. I went up to the meeting up at the Marriott up by the airport, and nice turnout. I think they said 138 people showed up for that. And we thought, you know what, let's talk to the man that matters out there at Lakeside Speedway, the defending champion in the A-Mod division, Tim Karrick, driving the McCarthy Auto Group Modified. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you guys doing this morning?
Well, we appreciate it. You know, we always like to have you on when we need an opinion because, well, you're not afraid to really tell everybody what you think. And, Tim,
unfortunately, it's got me in trouble enough in my life.
You and me both, brother. You and me both, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, first of all, last week. Nice. Did you go up there? I didn't see you when I showed up
there.
Yeah,
I left. I had Cody with me, and we ended up freaking leaving before it's over with. And I had actually tapped you on the back before I left, but Cody had to get back to here you go, Scott. Cody had to get back to Emporia, so we left. We left a little early because, as in all meetings, you know, some stuff that goes on goes unsaid. I mean, just they want to fix the last 15 years of racing.
Right.
You know?
Right. Sometimes it gets to the point where is this constructive or not? Or are we just all being a bunch of gripers here? But let me ask you, I know from what I was told that they brought up the purse right off the bat, and that was one thing that I wanted to talk to you about because we know the cost of competing out at Lakeside. It's not an IMCA track. It's a USRA track. First of all, there's no difference, is there, between a USRA car and a USMTS? They're the same car, right?
No, there may be some fine. They can run an 8400 chip versus an 8000 chip, which USRA is more like it's a home track deal, so they're trying to make it at least somewhat affordable. You know, with the 8000 chip, you know, you don't have to buy some stuff different. So
right.
You know, I mean, them guys have got $30,000 in their motors, basically 25 to $30,000. I mean, we got basically the same motor, but I've been 2 years building my motor, so I mean, I can't do it all at once, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Tim, what did you hear when they brought up that? Because I wasn't there. I was just getting off the air and didn't have a chance to listen what they said. We talked about it a little bit. Mike said, he called back after we had him on, Mike Johnson, last week, called back and said, not cutting the purse, but he did say the word cut in the interview that we did with him. A little bit of a mixed message there, but what did they tell you, the teams and the drivers, about the purse next year?
Well, I mean, basically they haven't even discussed this. Basically, what they said, and that's what bothered some people because they only get to look at it for a little bit. My whole deal was when I went in there and I just Lakeside could be. I mean, it's going to be like at the heyday. I think when you first come out there with new owners, just because of everybody that was disgruntled before about Mark,
right?
Is they're going to come back out and see how things go, but they're not going to do that if you pay them less money. And I said, you cannot pay less than $100 to start the race at Lakeside. I mean, I like the 160.
Right.
I mean, personally, if I was going to bring cars in, I mean, if you got 40 cars, you're not going to get the slow cars in your feature anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you pay the money, you're going to get the cars. And that's the point I wanted to get. And you can't just start dropping the routes to get going. And that was my concerns, and I expressed it. But I, like everybody else, just heard it through rumor control. I mean, it's just no different than, yes, I mean, my wife and I, for some odd reason on these iPhones, we were getting the same text. Well, Donnie had texted me about something, and my wife had got it. So, Henry, and she goes, yeah. I said, I heard they're going to pay $50 to start and $475 to win. And Donnie got so mad at me. I was like, Donnie, I can assure you somebody's jacking with us. So don't even worry about it. It's like, and I said, I'll text who is this? Well, it was my wife just playing a little game. and which is funny, you know.
Right.
That doesn't happen, but if it happens, I'm going to kill somebody. You know?
Yeah, but you got to be careful, Tim. That could become the gospel.
You know how these
rumors
they go wild. You say something, next thing you know, it's true, right?
That's exactly what, you know. I was like, from what I got out of Don and Mike face to face there, and when Mike Shaw was standing there with me, I mean, basically they're talking about actually adding a little bit on the top, and I don't know exactly what they're doing in between, but I'd like to see it. But
Tim, let me ask you, Tim, let me ask you something on that real quick. You've been doing this a long time, and sure, we love it when it pays good to win. But aren't the guys from the middle and to the back as important as you guys running up front, or maybe even more important?
Without them guys, without the full field, you don't have a race. You're going to be back like on the asphalt, Scott. 10 cars, 12 cars racing against. It's no fun. It's no fun racing against 10 cars. If you pay the purse, you're going to get the cars. That's the bottom line out there right now, especially with new owners starting out. And I don't care what they say. I mean, you need everybody. I mean, each car brings. I mean, I don't want to ever to get it to where, like back in the 70s when my dad had to get a late model dirt track association going, because it's a lose-lose situation for the drivers and for the track guy, because and that's what guys were already talking about, and they ain't even heard the meeting yet. So, and Don and Mike both said that that's not going to happen. So, I mean, all you can do is take their word on it and see. It's not, they shouldn't do nothing with the person, especially not getting a point from last year. I mean, everybody's irritated enough as it is.
Well, you know, I've said this countless times, and me and you've been around this game in this area for a long time. The first thing that you don't want to do is dick around with the purse and the rules. Just leave them alone and go in there and try to improve the environment. Don't mess around with the rules, and don't mess around with the money.
Well, exactly. And here's the deal. I mean, and when I was talking to people, they were comparing it to Heartland Park and I-35 and Green Valley. I mean, like John O'Neill said in the meeting, look, you guys are the leaders. They should be comparing their track to you. So you can't even afford to go run up at Heartland Park for the money they pay up there. It's ridiculous. And if they get the cars, they ought to pay the purse. The problem is they don't get a third, even a quarter of the people that Lakeside get.
What do they pay up at? What do they pay?
How many cars do they have up there in the IMCA deal? Everybody wants to talk about IMCA. 14 cars. How fun is that to race against 14 cars?
I've done that. It's not much fun at all. And you know, you can win. I think that one year, like when I run the super truck out there at I-70, there was like 8 or 10 of us, you know, on an average. Sometimes it'd spike up to 14. And so I won like 10 features in a year, but what did I really do?
Yeah, I mean, it ain't no fun. It's not. I mean, and the thing of it is, if you get 40 cars, if you get 40 cars for the first month and a half, I'm taking. I mean, you raise it up. I mean, if they want to go the whole year and do it, and then you still get the 40 cars, then raise it up next year or whatever they do. But I mean, you don't lower it, and that was my whole point. I ain't looking at. I mean, because no matter what, because everybody's going to have a bad night, and that $160 comes in handy to get them back to the track the following week. And I guarantee you, I know if they don't pay enough out there to start the race, then that's going to drive the guys away that are making the money to pay gas and tires for the following week. They probably will have to sit out a week or two, you know, and you don't want that.
No.
Fans don't want that either. So I mean, like they said, you know, give us a chance here and see what's going on. I mean, you can't, rumors here say you can't really do anything about that stuff.
You know, I'm going to believe in Mike Johnson and Don. I believe that they're going to do a good job out there. It's going to be better than it has been in the future. And, you know, we'll have to just take a wait-and-see approach what they do with the purse. But I gotta believe with Don Mars being a current racer driver that he's going to kind of look at the interest of the teams and the drivers themselves a little bit. And Mike, you know, he's been a car owner. He raced a little bit earlier in his when he got into motorsports up at I-35. He ran a Grand National car up there.
Well,
I think he'll be okay.
Grand National cars with his kids. So
right.
I mean, you say. I mean, and I've heard the statement that Larry Castro once made about there's one guy going to make money at the promoter. Well, it's kind of like having a football game at the Chiefs Stadium and not having no good football players. I mean, not everybody. You're not going to get the crowd you once was. So I mean, you got to have the cars to do that. And I agree with you as far as Don and Mike, from that field. I mean, granted, they got to make money, and I hope they don't spend all their money on fixing it all up all at once. But the biggest thing is, I mean, everybody thinks it's a new deal. I've seen people there that haven't been racing there, so I mean, we're going to get some faces back. And just see what happens with it. You know, I'm excited. I mean, I obviously haven't worked on my cars enough yet, so because I've been working on house projects. But biggest deal is it's about that time, 8 weeks or so. So
yeah, Tim, is the USRA point fund money enough for you? Are you aware how much it pays? Have you looked into that?
No,
are you satisfied?
I'm aware it's a damn sight better than I got this year. So
well, then there's that, right?
Big old goose egg. So
which was nothing.
You know, I mean, anything. I mean, and I knew when they lost NASCAR, and it wouldn't. And you know, there's always that time that, I mean, if it's still NASCAR back like it was back in the day, you knew you wouldn't get screwed out of that money. I mean, it sucks that we didn't get a point fund. I mean, because no matter what, I mean, especially all the people that went out and helped them get that track back together, and I'm not completely oblivious to where some money goes, and I know they had to put a lot of money into the wiring and all that stuff, but no matter what, you can't feed you either, you know. So
yeah, you got to do something, especially now that you sold the track. And let's be fair. Maybe Mark might send a check out once the check clears and the purchase of the racetrack. It's in the title company's hands right now, so that may happen. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's going to, but it's possible.
Yeah,
that could happen, but not likely, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks. I mean, you work. I mean, that's why you get the cars you do get at the track, is just because of the point fund to support weekly racing, you know. And now, I mean, it just proves everything about it wrong to me, you know. So, but you know, I mean, even the statement saying, yeah, maybe this will come or anything like that, but it just bums me out. But I mean, it will. It's like a guy at work says. It says nobody died, so let's just go on.
Right.
Well,
yeah, I mean.
It might have killed your wallet, but nobody died.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's for damn sure. So, but I mean, when you get used to that stuff, it just, you know, I mean, spoiled or not spoiled, like people say, but bottom line is, a premier track. It needs to be, you know.
Right.
So.
Well, what gets lost on a lot of people, and I think you pointed that out, is you have to operate your race team like a business. You count on a certain amount of revenue to come in to operate your race team, and that point fund and the purse structure is very important. You talked about how much to start, because if you have a bad night, you want to know what that minimum amount is so that you can cover your expenses to get back the next week. So I think that gets lost on a lot of people out there. You're not out there just, I mean, yeah, you want to have fun racing, but it costs money to operate a race team.
Tim, you know, I remember when I used to go to the track thinking, if I could just buy a tire and a couple jugs of fuel with my winnings, I'll be in pretty good shape.
Oh, exactly. And that's what it is. I mean, I know they weren't getting the full field, and you was getting some B-Mi cars in the A-Mi class last year. But the thing of it is, you're going to get, if you get back to where you had like 15 cars in the B feature, I mean, you're going to get quality cars in the feature, so you got to pay for getting the quality. So, and that's, I mean, any class they got out there, I mean, you think about it, I mean, you know, I mean, I guess it's, I mean, no different than running go-karts for nothing. They spend just as much as we do, but, I mean, that's their choice, I guess. But, I mean, I like any other racer, look at it, like you said, you got to pay for the tires, or even the ball joint or whatever is next week, you know? So,
yeah,
it's just, I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of rumors are going around, and if they ain't talked about it, they ain't talked about it. But, I mean, obviously something got out to somebody, and they took it out of context or whatever, and it ended up just got around to the wrong person that talked about 1,500 people, you know. So,
right.
So I just, you know, I hope it works out for them and the racers too.
No,
so
I do too.
That'd be the best scenario.
You know, we've talked about, Tim, just how much different Mike Johnson will be at the racetrack.
He'll be out there
than Mark Olson, and that is being visible out in the pit area and all around the area. How important is that to you as a driver to have the promoter visible?
I mean, JD. I knew what JD was. I mean, I didn't. I mean, if I needed to, I could call a person. But I mean, to me, it's kind of one of them deals where it's not as big as deal to me. I mean, if you see stuff that's going wrong, I mean, you could go over and tell them. But unfortunately, I mean, Earl was out there like that too. You know, I mean, you just did what you can to put your car on the track and roll from there. You know, so seeing the promoters, it's going to be nice for everybody and the fans and everything. And I seen they did a nice job on the track up at I-35, but I mean, it just ain't. I mean, when you don't race against that many, I mean, 14, 15 cars weekly, that's
well,
not my
let's be
big.
fair, Tim. That's IMCA. It doesn't compare.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know. And,
well, I mean, then the guys that bitch and want the IMCA stuff back around. I mean, then you go run for a $400 purse up at Thunder Hill.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, it's crazy, dude. I mean, I don't know, $400 to win or whatever it was, $100 for fifth or 70 for 10th. It's crazy. So
and those guys are not running cheap IMCA motors. Let's be fair. They're spending real money on their motors.
Too.
Right.
Grabowski's motors, I mean, they got good stuff. David Murray, you know, JR Motorsports gives him his motors. So, I mean, not everybody out there who runs that stuff gets that stuff, you know.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I mean, you can do all the comparison you want, but, I mean, I don't know. It just, Lakeside's the track, and again, it's a Friday night track. I mean, everybody gripes about them trying to run Rainhouse on Sunday. Well, when they don't get a third of the crowd on Sunday, it's not worth them or us messing up, you know, the guys that don't want to race on Sundays the whole weekend, you know.
Yeah.
So Friday nights, Lakeside Speedway, you get the Kansas City crowd, and there's a bunch of them too. So I don't know. I think it's going to be good, especially if they get it looking somewhat like his track is up there too. You know, I mean, facelifts will help, and then they said that a bunch of other stuff goes on, but they're changing the pit route and all that stuff too. You know, right there, they're moving the fence back to the pit shack, and then they're going to have hot lane again. That could be good, you know. So
yeah, I'm glad they're doing that because I hated it when a guy would have a flat on the first lap and he's running for the championship and he couldn't come back out on the racetrack.
Exactly. Then I mean, it should put some spice back into the race. You know, back when McQuint was running there, and you have flat tire, you had your tool set up there, you fix it and come back out and race, and then they took it away. I mean, of course, you know, most of the tracks around here did it, so.
Yeah. Are you okay? Are you okay with JD still being the competition director?
Oh yeah. Who else you going to get to take an ass cheering like JD?
Well, he can take it as good as anybody. I'll give him that.
I'm telling you right now, you ain't going to find. You may find a guy, but you ain't going to have him for 2 or 3 years. You know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I got to give him that credit that he has been able to take the abuse for a long time. And he does it with a smile on his face. You know. I mean, and he does well. I mean. I don't know who. I mean, you got Randy Moore wants to do it. He wants to go IMCA, you know. Right. My choice would be Rick Darling. That's my choice.
Yeah, but he wouldn't want to do it.
You know what?
Yeah, but I mean, who's going to take it to ask you that long? You know what I mean?
Again, you're right. Yeah, longevity is the one. Yeah.
I mean, look at Jason Bodenhammer where he's at now. I mean, he said, "Put my name in thing." You know, well, I mean. Love Jason, but that wouldn't work very long either, you know.
No, he wouldn't take that long at all.
No. I mean, you know, here's the deal. I tell you who'll probably end up doing it. Either, I mean, in the long run, it's probably John O'Neill. It'll be a good one later on.
Oh, he would be really good at that. Yes, sir.
He can get the sponsors. I mean, you know, and he'll be in racing forever too, you know, because he's got a boy coming up. So
yeah.
You know, there's guys out there, but you know, there's not. Who else besides Rick? I mean, I don't see. I mean,
no, there's not a long list.
Up at Harlan Park, all Carl Flowers wants to do is run Terry Watland off of there. You know, yeah, that's all. I don't know. I just don't see. I mean, there could be somebody out there. It's kind of like getting a head coach that's brand new. You know, you're going to go through some pain and suffering doing it and learning, you know. So JD's been around. I mean, obviously he's back up at I-35, so Mike can something he liked about that too, you know. So
right.
I mean, Diana works her butt off too out there, you know.
Oh,
so,
I know she does.
I mean, there's not to support the local racing. I mean, me, I don't have enough time to go to meetings, let alone freaking be a president or secretary of arms or all that stuff, you know, like they do. So they love it, and they do well for our racing community.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They've been pretty loyal for a long time, that's for sure. And Tim, I thought the racing at Lakeside last year was as good as it's ever been. I mean, I was out there most every Friday night. I thought the quality of racing was great. They had the live TV. It was a hot summer, but towards the end of the season, the crowds really tailed off. First of all, what do you think is the biggest reason for that, and how do we get the fan base back?
Here's the deal. Around Kansas City area, you see it. I mean, Kansas City area on a holiday weekend, don't schedule no big shows because people are going to go leave the Kansas City area and go to the lake. And you got, I mean, that's a weekend where you can have a little regular show. So that ends up if you do like the football season came on right when at the end of the TV shows. I mean, once school starts, you're not going to get the crowds you did in the summertime. That's back. My dad raced and back in them days, we started in Labor Day to Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
Vice versa, Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Right.
Whatever. So, I mean, that's when they raced. Now they don't try to race 6 months out of the year. I mean, like they don't try to race 6 months out of the year like they used to. But I think the TV show hurt a little bit when it was hot. But other tracks were canceling when Mark was racing, you know, because no fans were coming out. So, I mean, like you say, it's you know, they wanted no rain. They got no rain. Well, it's the other extreme, you know. So I think it was just in putting off people, you know, at the track, you know. It just I think the heat and everything last year got them. So that's my thoughts, Kirk. If football season, I mean, once school starts up, they're spending their money on school books and all that other stuff, and they don't not. And Lakeside's got a lot of kids running around there too.
Right.
So that's what's good about that.
Got a guy on the chat room who says USRA at Lakeside won't last long. He said, Scott, how long is your memory? Saying IMCA doesn't compare. I seem to remember Dave Murray winning a big show at Lakeside in an IMCA car. Well, that was before probably they were. That's when you guys were a little closer to IMCA than you are to USMTS, though, right?
Yeah, whoever wrote that, Daryl, they don't have any idea, because David Murray had a $25,000 motor. He'd come up to me laughing, that's my little IMCA motor. I said, come on, David, really? What, 434?
Yeah.
They got them flat tapper cams they got run just like our roller tapper cams.
Yeah.
Our roller lift cams. I mean, so they're foolish. I mean, IMCA, you can't have 25 cars with motors like that, and they're going to live at Lakeside. That's what they found out in the early days, too. This USRA or whatever, no matter what you do, this area is prominent, quick change rear end area. USRA, NASCAR, whatever it is, Lakeside's going to be around for a while, and I'm damn sure you're going to get more cars with USRA than you will IMCA.
Would you have rather it been NASCAR, Tim?
You know what? 220, 221. It doesn't matter to me. It's their game. I mean, you know, NASCAR's been good to me, and what I like about NASCAR is it brings in the sponsors better. You know, I mean, I know USRA, they got the Casey's and this and that stuff going on, but Casey sponsors the USRA versus you know, like it don't help bring in. Nobody knows what USRA is.
Yeah, go to a sponsor and say USRA, and then what is that? Go to them and say, I drive a NASCAR car. You don't even have to tell them what it is, a modified, street stock, or anything. NASCAR, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, I mean, let's face it, not all of us are Jennifer Cobbs or John O'Neills that can go out and get sponsors like that, you know. So that's unfortunately, that's we're back to the purse. We rely on that to make our deal, you know. So I think, I mean, IMCA is the only thing I'm totally against. I mean, it's just like Tom Charles last year coming up to Lakeside to run Lakeside so he can make money to go run IMCA track. So, I mean, that's why he wasn't going to run. That's why he that's what he said he was going to Lakeside for, is just to make money so he can run the IMCA track. So I mean,
that's kind of crazy in itself just to think about that. Right.
It is. So I mean, it's part of it. I mean, it's just, if you don't evolve with it and grow with it, you're going to be screwed. I mean, you can't be set in one way. I mean, if it gets to where I don't agree with it, then I'll do what's right for Tim. I won't do, just keep doing it just to go broke or do anything else. It's just what I do. I mean, back in the day, I watched my dad struggle as far as supporting his late model stuff, and I said I'd never do that. Well, I mean, I was spending just as much as my dad did back in the day, so on the late model stuff. But what's funny is, it pays the same damn person as it did then too.
That's just nuts. We were talking about a little bit about that last week. Tim, before we let you go, anything changing? We have new cars this year. You just taken the cars from last year. Give us a little update on what you're doing with your team.
We got. I got to go pick up a new car next weekend, and we already got the other one back. I'm putting it back together now as we speak, and it's probably about a week or so being back together. Got a US RA motor, the spec-headed deal going. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to change the chassis stuff just a little bit. It's still a Skyrocket, but you see Kelly run pretty good there at the end of the year. He'd been trying some stuff, so I think we're going to be pretty good this year, and I won't suck as bad as I did at the end of the season last year, I hope. So that's the game plan anyway. That's how we're going to start out. So,
all right.
If we can make it happen, maybe get some points on money this year.
All right, Tim. Well, we'll touch base with you. We're part of the McCarthy Auto Group, as you are, and we appreciate you taking time to join us here on the show, bud.
Okay, Lee. Thank you, Scott. We'll see you, Kirk.
Yep. Thank you, Tim.